Good morning, children. Our next lesson is ray optics. So first of all, what is meant by light means? Light is nothing but a form of energy which causes sensation of sight. The retina in our eye has the sensitivity to detect the electromagnetic waves within small range of electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. So here in light there are two branches, geometrical optics or ray optics, and second one is wave optics or physical optics. Understood? So here the light is divided into two branches. One is geometrical or ray optics and second one is wave optics or physical optics. Okay. So if the wavelength of light is very small when compared to the size of the obstacle on which the light incidents. Okay, if wavelength is very small when compared to the size of the obstacle, then the light waves can be considered to travel from one point to another point along the straight line path, which is nothing but a rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, the path is called as ray of light, and bundle of such rays constitute beam of light. Okay, that means in ray optics the ray nature of light is taken. Okay, that means light travels in the straight line path. Here obstacles means lenses, mirrors or a prism, all these are obstacles. That means whose size is very large when compared to the wavelength of the light, and the light is treated as a ray. Okay, and wave optics, when the wave nature of light is taken into account means, so if the size of the obstacles are comparable to wavelength or size of the obstacle is small when compared to the wavelength of the wave, then wave nature of light is taken into account. So and by taking the wave nature in physical optics, we will study about the interference, diffraction and polarization. All these phenomena can be explained by taking the wave nature of light. But the diffraction and polarization are not there in our syllabus, so we confine ourselves to interference only. Okay, I will explain that one in wave optics. In ray optics, that means by taking the ray nature of light, we will explain the reflection, refraction and total internal reflection. Okay, and here in our syllabus the reflection is also not there, that means the mirrors is not there, so that's why here I am starting with the refraction only. Okay, so what is meant by refraction of light means the phenomena of bending of light when it is traveling from one medium to another medium. Okay, the phenomena of bending of light when it is traveling from one medium to another medium is called as refraction. So why the light ray bends means, so here when the light is traveling from one medium to another medium, the speed of the light changes and the light chooses the path in which it takes the shortest time. Okay, so this is called as Fermat's principle. Okay, so here as the speed of the light is changing from one medium to another medium, the light bends. Okay, so here in the case of refraction, the frequency does not changes, but the wavelength changes and velocity changes. In vacuum, all the that means all the wavelengths or the light, every color, the light travels with the velocity equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. But in other than air or vacuum, the different wavelengths travels with the different velocities. Okay, now see refraction of light at plane surface. So here this is nothing but a incident ray. Okay, and here this is air and here it is something medium, it may be some glass slab. Okay, so that means light, this is the boundary separating the air and glass slab. So as the light is traveling from one medium to another medium, that means air medium to glass medium, here actually this is the incident ray and here I have drawn the normal at the point of incidence, okay, to this boundary. Now actually according to rectilinear propagation of light, it has to travel along this path, but as the medium is changing here, so it bends towards the normal here. Okay, so this is called as a refracted ray. and the angle between the incident ray and normal is called as angle of incidence, and the angle between refracted ray and normal is called as angle of refraction. Okay, and here this angle, that means the angle between the incident ray extended forwards and this refracted ray is called as angle of deviation. So here in this case, this angle is equal to, you can take I, because these two are vertically opposite angles, they are equal. So, and this angle is nothing but R, so you can take this angle as I minus R. So what is the angle of deviation means? You can write I minus R. So I minus R is nothing but angle of deviation here. Okay, and see the laws of refraction. So what are the laws of refraction means? First one, the incident ray, refracted ray and normal drawn to the boundary all lies in the same plane. Okay, here the boundary separating the two media means, here this is the boundary separating the two media. That means here this plane is perpendicular to plane of paper. Now here this normal, incident ray and refracted ray all lies in the plane of paper. That means they lies in the same plane. Okay, so that is first point. And second one, the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction. The ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant. So that constant is nothing but the refractive index of the second medium with respect to first medium, you can say. Okay, the refractive index of the second medium with respect to first medium. Or if you consider this one as some refractive index, the refractive index is indicated by the letter mu1, so which depends upon nature of material. Okay, so and which can be defined as the ratio between the velocity of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium. Okay, the ratio between velocity of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium gives the refractive index. So if you consider the refractive index of this medium is mu1 and here it is mu2. Okay, and here this angle of incidence, let I1 is nothing but here I, and here this R is nothing but some I2. Angle of refraction is I2 means, you can write I1, mu1 sin I1 is equal to mu2 sin I2 also. Okay, so that means the product of refractive index and sine of angle of incidence at a point in a medium is constant, you can write. Okay, so that means mu sin theta is equal to constant. Okay, the product of the refractive index of the medium and sine of angle of incidence at a point is equal to constant. So that means here you can write mu1 sin I1 is equal to mu2 sin I2. Or if you consider I1 as I and I2 as R, then you can write mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. Okay, or sin I by sin R is equal to mu2 by mu1. Okay, so here the refractive index of the medium depends upon nature of material. Okay, so for a given pair of media and for a given wavelength, okay, when wavelength remains constant and nature of material remains constant, here this ratio remains constant. That means you can say this one as, for a given pair of media and for a given light, the ratio between sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant. So here this constant can be called as the refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. So this can also be indicated like this, mu21, so which can read as refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, that is mu2 by mu1. So this law is also called as Snell's law. Okay, this law is also called as Snell's law. See the statement of Snell's law. So it states that for a given pair of media and for a given light, the ratio between sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant. That is sin I by sin I are equal to constant, or that equal to mu2 by mu1, or refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. So in vector form, how to write the Snell's law means, here you can write mu1 E1 cap cross n cap is equal to mu2 E2 cap cross n cap. So what are here E1 cap, E2 cap and n cap means? N cap is nothing but a unit vector along the normal. Okay, unit vector along the normal at the point of incidence. And even cap is nothing but unit vector along the incident ray. And E2 cap, this is nothing but unit vector along the refracted ray. Okay, so here even cap cross n cap means you can write mod even, mod n cap, sin I here. The angle in between the normal and incident ray is nothing but here this is along incident ray and here it is along the normal. The angle between these two is nothing but angle of incidence. So you can write mod even as 1, mod n cap as 1. So you will get sin I here. That means mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 into here E2 cap cross n cap means you can write mod E2 cap, mod n cap and sin R. Okay. So where R is nothing but angle enclosed in between the refracted ray and normal here, and mod E2 cap and mod n cap is equal to 1 because they are the unit vectors. That means you will get mu2 sin R. So mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R only. Okay. So in this way you can express the Snell's law in vector form. Okay. Now see the refractive index. So refractive index means the absolute refractive index of a medium is the ratio between speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in medium. Okay, the ratio between speed of light in vacuum to the speed of light in medium gives the refractive index, that is mu equal to C by V, where C is the velocity of light in vacuum, which is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second, and here this is nothing but speed of the light in medium. And here it is a scalar quantity, it has no units because the ratio between the speeds only. Okay. So here the speed of a light in a medium depends upon permeability and permittivity of medium. So C, velocity of light in vacuum, can be written as 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught, where mu naught is the permeability of free space and epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space. You know their values. So mu naught is nothing but 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 and epsilon naught is nothing but 8.854 into 10 power minus 12. So Coulomb square, Newton inverse, meter square. And velocity of light in vacuum, that is 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught. And velocity of light in medium means you can write 1 by root mu epsilon. So mu is the permeability of medium and epsilon is the permittivity of medium. So these values depends upon nature of material. Okay. Now on simplifying you will get this one. Here epsilon by epsilon naught is nothing but epsilon r you can write, that is a relative permittivity, and mu by mu naught can be written as permeability, relative permeability mu r. So that means by knowing the values relative permittivity and relative permeability, you can calculate the refractive index of given medium. For vacuum, so the velocity V is equal to C. Therefore, mu equal to, that means refractive index of the vacuum is nothing but 1 you will get, because these two are equal. So hence you will get 1. So what is the refractive index of the vacuum means? So 1. Okay. So for air medium also it is approximately equal to 1. So that's why for air or vacuum generally we will take the refractive index is equal to 1. So the refractive index of the medium means you have to write the velocity of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium. Okay. So velocity of light in vacuum means you can write C equal to nu lambda. Nu is the frequency of light. Nu into lambda of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium means you can write nu, that means the frequency of the light into wavelength of light in medium. But as you know, when the light is traveling from one medium to another medium, the frequency does not changes. Velocity changes as well as wavelength changes. Okay. So here wavelength of light in vacuum, that means here when the light is traveling from one medium to another medium, the frequency does not changes means. So here the color concept depends upon frequency. Okay. The color concept is not related to the wavelength. Okay. As wavelength changes, actually if it is based on wavelength concept means as the wavelength changes, color of the light also changes when it is traveling from one medium to another medium, but that does not happen. So the color concept is based upon frequency here. Now here from this relation you can say the refractive index is inversely proportional to wavelength here. Okay. as you know, the wavelength of red is greater than that of wavelength of violet. So therefore, for a given medium, you can say the refractive index corresponding to violet color is greater than that of refractive index of medium corresponding to red color. Okay. So actually, the refractive index varies with the lambda as, according to the equation, mu equal to A plus B by lambda square, where A and B are constants. Okay. Mu is equal to A plus B by lambda square. So, but we will take this equation here. Okay. And refractive index of the medium. So, relative refractive index can be written as mu 1. So, this means refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, that is mu 2 by mu 1, or as mu is inversely proportional to velocity as well as wavelength, you can write mu 2 by mu 1 is equal to v1 by v2, or that equal to lambda 1 by lambda 2. Similarly, the refractive index of the first medium with respect to second medium means you have to write mu 1 by mu 2, that equal to v2 by v1, that equal to lambda 2 by lambda 1. So from these two relations, you can say the product of these two values gives 1 here. That means refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium is equal to the reciprocal of refractive index of first medium with respect to second medium. So if the refractive index is more, okay, the medium is said to be optically denser when compared with the other. Okay. So if the refractive index is more, then that medium is said to be the denser when compared to the other. So it is not related to the density. Okay. So density may be less or it may be greater, but it is related to the refractive index values. So if the mu value is more, then it is said to be the denser medium. Okay. So in denser medium, the velocity of the light is less. Okay. So in the rarer medium, the velocity of light is more and the refractive index is less. Okay. So if we consider turpentine, so turpentine is optically denser when compared with the water. Okay. Turpentine is optically denser when compared with the water. But here, you know, the density of water is more than that of density of turpentine. But here, the refractive index of turpentine is more than that of refractive index of water. Okay. So that means if the density is more, you cannot take in that one as a denser medium when compared to the other. Okay. That is not related to the density. It is related to the refractive index. Okay. So when the light is traveling from optically rarer medium to optically denser medium. Okay. So if the light incidents like this obliquely. Okay. And then when the light is traveling from here rarer medium to denser medium, the light bends towards the normal. Okay, light bends towards the normal. That means here the angle of incidence is more when compared to the angle of refraction. And angle of deviation means you have to say I minus R. Okay, so from this Snell's law you can explain that one. So sin I by sin R equal to, you know, the refractive index of second medium by refractive index of first medium. That means mu D by mu R. So you know the refractive index of denser medium is greater than that of rarer medium. That means this ratio is greater than 1. So sin I is greater than sin R means you can say I is greater than R. Okay. So from this you can say the light bends towards the normal. So when the ray of light is traveling from optically denser medium to rarer medium. Okay. So here the light is traveling from denser to rarer. You have to remember these points. When it is traveling from denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. That means here the angle of refraction is greater than that of angle of incidence. So here this is I means you can say this one is I because they are vertically opposite angles. So what about this angle means R minus I. Here this is nothing but incident ray extended forwards and this is the refracted ray. The angle between the incident ray extended forwards and refracted ray is said to be the angle of deviation. So here in this case the angle of deviation is nothing but R minus I. Okay. So from Snell's law you can explain angle I is less than angle R. Okay. So sin I by sin R means the refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. Here it is the second and this is the first. That means mu R by mu D you can write. So the refractive index of rarer is less when compared with the denser. So this ratio is less than 1. So sin I less than sin R. That means I less than R. So when the light is traveling from rarer to denser, okay, when the light is traveling from rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal. When the light is traveling from denser to rarer, it bends away from the normal. You have to remember these 2 points. Okay. Now see the condition for no refraction. So when the light do not bends means, so for example if the light incidents normally, okay, here this is the boundary separating the two media. So if the light incidents along the normal, then the angle of incidence is equal to 0 and the angle of refraction is also equal to if the angle of incidence is equal to 0, then the angle of refraction is also equal to 0. So that means when the light incidence along the normal, then the light do not bends. Okay, this is the first case. And see the second case. So if the refractive index of the two media are equal, okay, so if mu1 equal to mu2, then even though the light incidents obliquely, then it do not bends. Okay, because here mu1 is equal to mu2 means you will get according to Snell's law, so sin I by sin r is equal to 1, that means I equal to r. Okay, so in this case also the light do not bends. Okay, and see the example here. When the light of wavelength lambda v in vacuum travels through same thickness T in glass and water, then find the difference in number of waves. Okay, when the light of wavelength lambda v in vacuum travels through same thickness T in glass and water, then find the difference in number of waves. Here see here, the number of waves means you can write T by lambda. Okay, T by lambda. For example, if the light is traveling like this, okay, so here this is the thickness of medium. Okay, so one wave occupies the distance is equal to lambda. So for example, there are n waves in the thickness T means you can write n lambda is equal to T here. So from that you can say the number of waves is equal to T by lambda. Okay, so here it is given that the number of so the thickness of glass and thickness of water remains same here. You have to calculate the difference in the number of waves. Okay, so first of all here I am calculating the number of waves in glass. So the number of waves in glass can be written as T by, actually see here the number of waves can be written as T by lambda, and lambda can be written as lambda naught by mu. Lambda in medium, actually here it is nothing but lambda in medium. So lambda in medium can be written as lambda in vacuum by mu from the definition of refractive index. Okay, so from this you can write mu T by lambda naught. So this is the formula for a number of waves in a given medium. So now apply this one for the glass. So here mu is nothing but mu z into T by lambda naught. And similarly find the number of waves in water also. Here the thickness remains same. So T into the refractive index of water, mu water, okay, by lambda naught. Okay, now find the difference in number of waves. So here Ng minus Nw, that gives the delta n value, so which is nothing but a T by lambda naught into mu z minus mu w. Optical path delta x. So it is defined as the distance travelled by the light in vacuum in the same time in which it travels in the given path in that medium. Understood? So optical path is nothing but the distance travelled by the light in vacuum, the distance travelled by the light in vacuum during the time in which it travels in the given path in the medium. Okay, for example, consider a medium of refractive index mu. Let the thickness of the medium is nothing but d. Okay, now find the time taken by the light to travel this distance in this medium. Okay, so now during that time find the distance covered by the light in vacuum. Okay, so now that distance is called as optical path. Okay, so here in vacuum, so in vacuum what is the distance covered means you can write mu d, because here the distance, the refractive index mu can be written as velocity of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium. See here I have calculated this one. Now AB is nothing but here a real path, okay, or geometrical path, and A dash B dash is nothing but optical path. So if light travels the path length d in medium at a speed v means then the time taken by it it will be to travel that distance is t equal to d by v. Okay, so this is nothing but velocity of light in medium. Okay, so t equal to d by vm. Now during the same time, what is the distance covered by the light in vacuum means the distance covered is nothing but optical path, which is equal to velocity of light in vacuum into t you have to write. Okay, so t is nothing but this one, c into d by vm. You know the velocity of light in vacuum by velocity of light in medium is nothing but refractive index mu. Okay, so therefore delta x can be written as mu d. Okay, so this is the optical path. So optical path is equal to mu into geometrical path. So for all media, the refractive index is greater than 1. That means optical path length is greater than that of actual path length. Okay, optical path length is greater than that of actual path length. So the difference in the distance traveled by the light in vacuum and in medium in the same time interval is called as optical path difference. That means the difference in the geometrical path and optical path. The difference in the optical path and geometrical path is said to be the optical path difference. Okay, so the optical path is nothing but mu d and the geometrical path is nothing but d. So the difference of them gives mu minus 1 into d. So that is nothing but optical path difference. Okay, so optical path difference delta x is equal to mu minus 1 into d. For example, here it is a glass slab of refractive index mu of thickness t, and if its surrounding medium is having the refractive index mu dash, which is less than that of mu, then delta x, that means optical path difference, is equal to mu by mu dash minus 1 into d here. Okay, actually here in air, for air the refractive index is taken as 1, but it is not exactly equal to 1, it is approximately equal to 1. If it is mentioned clearly, the mu is something 1.00 some 25 means, then you have to take that value. So delta x is equal to mu by mu dash minus 1 into d. This is the optical path difference. Okay, and by knowing the path difference, you can calculate the phase difference. You know the relation between the phase difference and path difference you have studied in wave motion. The phase difference phi is equal to 2 pi by lambda into path difference. So from that you can calculate the phase difference. Okay, see the few problems based on that concept. So first one, the optical path of monochromatic light is same as, say, if it goes through 4 centimeter of glass or 4.5 meter of 4 meter of glass or 4.5 meter of liquid. If the refractive index of glass is 1.5, then what is the difference in the, then what is the refractive index of liquid? Okay, so here that means the optical path is nothing but mu d, that means mu into geometrical path. Okay, so here it is given that the glass, so glass of thickness 4 meter, okay, and liquid of thickness 4.5 meter. So the optical path corresponding to 4 meter of glass and 4.5 meter of liquid remains same. Okay, and the refractive index of glass is given to you. You have to calculate the refractive index of liquid. Okay, so I have equated the optical path corresponding to two media. So optical path is nothing but refractive index of the medium into geometrical path. That means for the glass you have to write 1.5 into 4, and for the liquid you don't know the mu value, so mu 2 into geometrical path is 4.5. So from that you can calculate the mu 2 value, refractive index of liquid. Okay. So here refractive index of liquid is nothing but 1.33. So generally you can take the refractive index, this is nothing but corresponding to water. Okay, so you have to remember some refractive index values. So for glass, the refractive index of glass is nothing but 3 by 2, and refractive index of water is nothing but 4 by 3. Okay, and the refractive index of diamond is nothing but 2.5. Okay, so and the refractive index of air generally equal to refractive index of vacuum, that is equal to 1. You have to remember these values. Okay, and these values are corresponding to mean color. I already told you the refractive index depends upon nature of the medium as well as the wavelength also. Okay, as wavelength changes, the refractive index of medium also changes. Here all these refractive indices are corresponding to the mean color, which is nothing but yellow color. Okay, and see the next example here. So find the thickness of transparent plastic plate which will produce a change in optical path is equal to wavelength lambda of light passing through it normally. So find the refractive index of the plate is mu. Here you have to calculate the thickness of a plastic plate. Okay, thickness of plastic plate, and here it is given that the optical path difference is equal to lambda. Okay, you know the optical path difference is nothing but mu minus 1 into d. Okay, so mu minus 1 into d is the optical path difference, so which is given as lambda. Okay, here I have taken d is nothing but x, which is the thickness of transparent plastic plate. So from that you can write x is equal to lambda by mu minus 1. Okay, see the next concept, principle of reversibility of light. Okay, so here this is a rarer medium and here it is the denser medium, and this is the boundary separating the two media, and here it is the incident ray. Okay, and this is the normal at the point of incidence. Okay, now as the light is traveling from rarer medium to denser medium, it bends towards the normal. Okay, and now here I have placed one more mirror here. Okay, and here the light incidents normally on the mirror. Light incidents normally on the mirror. Okay, and you know the laws of reflection you have studied in your lower classes. So according to laws of reflection, you know the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Okay, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. When the light incidence along the normal, okay, then angle of incidence is equal to 0 and angle of reflection is also equal to 0. So when the angle of reflection is equal to 0, then the light travels back along the same path. Okay, so that is to be the principle of reversibility of light. Let's see the few examples here. A light of wavelength 4500 angstroms in air is incident on plane boundary between air and another medium at an angle of 30 degrees with the plane boundary. As it enters from air into other medium, it deviates by 15 degrees towards the normal. So find the refractive index of medium and also the wavelength of given light. Okay, so here the angle of incidence with the boundary is given to you. Okay, that means here the incident ray is making 30 degrees with the boundary means, so what is the angle of incidence here means 60 degrees. The angle of incidence is nothing but angle between incident ray and normal drawn to the boundary, and angle of deviation is given to you. Okay, angle of deviation is given to you. Okay, light is traveling from here air to another medium, that means rarer medium to denser medium, so it bends towards the normal, then angle of deviation can be taken as I minus r. So I minus r is given to you, that is 15 degrees, and I is 60 degrees. So from that you can calculate the r value. So from that you can calculate the refractive index, mu equal to sin I by sin r. Okay, when you know the refractive index, you can calculate the wavelength also, because you know the wavelength of light in vacuum. So the absolute refractive index of the medium is equal to wavelength of light in vacuum by wavelength of light in medium. So from that you can calculate the wavelength of light in medium also. Okay, see here. Now see the next example. So a monochromatic light falls at an angle of incidence I on the slab of a transparent material. So the refractive index of material is mu for given light. Okay, so what should be the relation between I and mu so that the reflected and refracted rays are mutually perpendicular to each other? This is very important problem. Okay, you have to remember the final equation also. Okay, so here the light falls at an angle of incidence I, okay, on a slab. Refractive index of material is mu. So what should be the relation between I and mu so that the reflected and the refracted rays are mutually perpendicular to each other? That means here when light incidents on at this boundary separating the two media, so it undergoes partially reflection and partially refraction. Okay, so here this is the reflected ray. You know the laws of reflection. Okay, angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. That means this angle is also equal to I. And here it is a refracted ray. So when the light is traveling from rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal. Okay, this is the refracted ray. And here it is given that the angle between the reflected ray and the refracted ray is equal to 90 degrees. So this angle is given as 90 degrees. Okay, so from that you can write I plus R is also equal to 90 degrees. So I plus R is equal to 90 degrees. Now apply the Snell's law here. So mu is equal to, we can write sin I by sin R, and R can be written as pi by 2 minus I. So sin of pi by 2 minus I means you can write cos I. Okay, so sin I by cos I is nothing but tan I you can write. Okay, so mu equal to tan I. So the refractive index of the medium is equal to tangent of angle of incidence. Understood? So when this relation valid means when the reflected and refracted rays are mutually perpendicular to each other, then you can apply this condition mu equal to tan I. See the next example. The xz plane separates the two media A and B of refractive index mu1 is equal to 1.5 and mu2 equal to 2. A ray of light travels from A to B. Its directions in two media are given by the unit vectors u1 bar is equal to ai cap plus bj cap and u2 bar is equal to ci cap plus dj cap. Then find the a by c value. Okay, find the a by c value here. You have to find the a by c value. Okay, now here the refractive index mu1 is given to you, that is 1.5. Okay, and refractive index mu2 is given to you, that is 2. Okay, and here the unit vector along the incident ray is given to you, ai cap plus bj cap, and unit vector along the refracted ray is given to you, that is ca cap plus dc cap. Okay, so here the incident ray, refracted ray lies in xy plane. So from this you can identify they lies in xy plane. Okay, so here that means here you can take, this is the boundary separating the two media. That means you can take that one as zx plane. Okay, then the normal will be along y direction. Okay, the normal will be along y direction. So here actually this is nothing but angle of incidence I have taken, and here it is nothing but angle of refraction, angle of diffraction. Okay, now sin I. So sin I means, first of all here I am writing this this unit vector is making an angle I with this y-axis, means you can write the tan I is equal to x component by y component. You can write, you know, in vectors you have studied, if a vector makes an angle theta with the x-axis means then you can write a tan theta equal to y component by x component. If it makes an angle theta dash with the y-axis means then you can write a tan theta dash is equal to x component by y component. Similarly here you can write so tan I is equal to, you can write a by b. Okay, that means x component by y component, a by b. So tan I is equal to a by b means you can write take this right angle triangle, here it is a, this is b. If it is I, you can write tan I is equal to a by b. Okay, now calculate the hypotenuse, which is nothing but root over a square plus b square. So from that calculate the sin I value, that is a by root over a square plus b square. And similarly this unit vector along the refracted ray is making an angle r with the y-axis. So from that you can write tan r is equal to x component by y component, means you can write c by d. Okay, so tan r equal to c by d means, so similarly here also you can write so sin r. Okay, so sin r can be written as c by root over c square plus d square. Now apply the Snell's law. So mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin r. Okay, so now substitute the mu1 and mu2 values and the sin I and sin r values. Okay, and you will get one equation here, and as you know these are nothing but unit vectors. You can take their magnitudes is equal to 1. So by equating them to 1 you will get one more equation. Now by solving 1 and 2 you will get the A by C value. So A by C value is nothing but 4.3. Okay. Now see one more example here. A ray of light falls on transparent sphere with the center C as shown in figure. The ray emerges from the sphere parallel to line AB. Then find the refractive index of the sphere. So here this is the transparent sphere, and here it is the incident ray which is incidenting at an angle 60 degrees with this normal at the point of incidence. Okay, and it is given that the emergent ray emerges parallel to this line AB. Okay, now here the light ray is traveling from rarer to denser, so it bends it towards the normal. For example, if it incidents here, okay, and take the normal at the point of incidence. So for a sphere the radius at a given point gives the normal, so this is the normal here. Okay, again the light ray is traveling from denser to rarer medium, so it bends away from the normal, so it has to travel like this, but it is traveling like this. It bends away from the normal and emerges parallel to AB. Okay, this is the emergent ray here. Okay, understood? Now here I am applying the Snell's law at this point. Okay, you know mu sin theta equal to constant. So from that here I am writing. So the refractive index here corresponding to 8 is nothing but 1 into sin 60. And here this is the angle of refraction here I have taken. This is the normal and here it is the refracted ray. So mu into sin r. Okay, the refractive index of the sphere is mu. So mu into sin r. Okay, and again here I am applying the Snell's law. Okay, so here if you consider this one as angle r, you can take this one as angle r only. Okay, so here this is the radius and here it is also a radius. Okay, so therefore in this triangle you can take this angle is equal to r, means you can take this angle is also equal to r. Okay, and this is some I dash, means apply the Snell's law here. So mu into sin r is equal to 1 into sin I dash. So 1 into sin I dash. So from that you can write, so from these two you can write I dash is equal to 60 degrees. Okay, and find the deviation at these 2 points. Okay, so here the deviation is nothing but the ray is traveling from rarer to denser, so the deviation is nothing but I minus r here. Okay, I minus r, and see the deviation here. Okay, so what is the deviation means? Here as it bends away from the normal, here this angle is more than that of this one, so you have to write I dash minus r. Okay, angle of deviation means. So but I dash is equal to I itself, so you can write a deviation is equal to I minus r plus I minus r, so 2 of I minus r. So given that the angle of deviation is nothing but 60 degrees. Okay, angle of deviation is nothing but 60 degrees because the light ray is emerging parallel to AB. Actually this is the incident ray, but emergent ray is traveling parallel to this one. So that means here the angle between it is emerging like this and here it is the incident ray. So the angle between them is nothing but 60 degrees. So angle of deviation given as 60 degrees. So from that you can calculate I minus r equal to 30 degrees. But I is given as 60. Okay, so from that calculate the r value. So r is nothing but 30 degrees. Now the refractive index mu is equal to, you can write sin I by sin r. Now you know the I and r values, so substitute them. You will get the refractive index of the sphere is equal to √3.